is another beautiful day for the program Health in Living. I am Blessing Ofumio. Today we are talking about prostate health. Today, so many men, they are in the grave just because of this ailment. And I have a wonderful guest with me to talk about this topic, how it started, and if there is a cure. Who is this man? He is a nutritionist, no other person but Reverend Tony Akinyemi. So you're welcome to the program.
My pleasure once again.
Good to have you always.
Thank you for always inviting me.
Yes. You are really giving us what we actually wanted in each of your visitations. So
I'm highly honored. Highly honored.
All right, we are looking at prostate.
Right.
This is one ailment that is common with men, just like fibroid, the women class.
That's right.
This one is for men alone.
Mm-hmm.
What are the causes? Is it the food they eat, or what are the causes?
Well, let me start by, first of all, clarifying some things. I've seen some men come to me and they say, I went to my doctor and they said I have prostate. I say, yeah, me too, I have prostate. And they initially they are stunned. I said, what do you mean? Are you also sick with a prostate disorder? I said, no, I don't have a prostate disorder, but I have a prostate. Every man has a prostate. So let's clarify that. So when they say you have a prostate problem, it's not that you have a prostate disorder. And if you ask me what is the cause of prostate disorders, first of all, I would say it's not just one type of disorder. There are at least 3 major types of prostate disorders that a man can develop. One is called prostate inflammation, otherwise known as prostatitis. The second one is prostate enlargement or enlarged prostate, otherwise known as BPH or benign prostatic hyperplasia. That's a big word by medical people. It simply means the prostate is enlarged. It's bigger than it should be. And the third one, which is the most serious of the 3, is prostate cancer. So a person can have prostate inflammation, which can be caused by an infection. It can be caused by irritation. It can be caused by many factors. So that's why the causes are different. What causes prostate inflammation is different from what causes prostate enlargement, is different from what causes prostate cancer. So if it is inflammation, majorly, for the most part, is because of infection. Viral infection, bacterial infection, whatever. So when you treat the infection, the inflammation goes. Okay? And then the symptoms they present may also be different from one to the other. The second one is the prostate enlargement. It's postulated that as men grow older, their prostate will also grow automatically with them. I do not subscribe to that school of thought. The only reason prostates get bigger is because they are stimulated to grow. And there are factors that stimulate them to grow. For example, the man produces all kinds of hormones. Chief among them is testosterone. Testosterone is that hormone that makes a man a man. It makes him macho, muscular, strong, energetic, aggressive. It makes him to be able to be a man in the other room. Okay? So if a man's testosterone goes haywire, because testosterone can actually be converted from the real type, the free form of testosterone, it can be converted into the rogue type of testosterone, which is called dihydrotestosterone. or DHT for short. So it's like you get this pure form of this hormone, and then it is converted through a certain process into another form that now begins to trigger the enlargement or the growth of the prostate. So it is the DHT level that is present in a man's body that is suspected to contribute to the growth of the prostate, to make it either enlarged or ultimately to even become cancerous. Now, when it comes to neoplasm, which is the initiation of cancer itself in the prostate, usually there are triggers, things that can trigger cancer cell formation. It could be free radicals that serve as the trigger. It could even be certain kind of infections too, can serve as triggers. And then, of course, diet and lifestyle can cause hormonal imbalance that will now also serve as a trigger. So many factors can be responsible for that, either for the enlargement or for developing into prostate cancer. So when it grows, the prostate grows to become enlarged or become cancerous, the urethra, the pipe that takes urine from the bladder and takes it out to the male organ so that a man can urinate. It's like, imagine a pipe coming from a tank. That pipe passes through the prostate. The reason it passes through the prostate is like a ring around that pipe. It's like a ring by the neck here. The reason is that the prostate contributes to ejaculation. If a man ejaculates, okay, the sperms come from the epididymis in the testicular area, okay, and comes into the pipe to come out. When it gets to the prostate will secrete a fluid into the sperm. So the sperm is carried in that fluid, and then it comes out. Now, so that's the job of the prostate, to release that fluid that the sperm will be dumped into. That's why the pipe passes through it, so that it can collect that fluid on its way out. And that is the positive purpose. But then, when that prostate begins to grow big, it begins to compress the pipe. And it gets to a point where it actually chokes the pipe and blocks it completely, such that the bladder is full, and the man feels pressed to go and urinate, and urine will refuse to come out. The man is standing there for 15 minutes. Nothing is coming out. And the pressure can be, oh my, only those who feel it know it. So in such cases, what they do is they become an emergency case, take them to the hospital. The doctor will catheterize them. It's like you puncture and put a pipe to drain the urine. Or they can do it through the opening of the male organ. So they can pass a pipe through it to force it open to allow the urine to drain. When the urine drains out, the person is relieved. The next question is, okay, how do we now permanently solve this problem? At least we've given you temporary relief for the first time. So those are the ways that the prostate afflict men, essentially.
Okay, now there are some persons that actually did operation of this prostate. At the end of the day, they were unable to perform their duty as men. Why is it so?
Yeah, when prostatectomy, prostate surgery is done, like any surgical procedure, it carries its risks. And in the process, certain nerves can be cut. And different parts of that region can be damaged. And once that happens, obviously the person will begin to experience all kinds of issues relating to the damage that has been done. That's why when the person is going into surgery for prostate, they will normally tell the person to let the person know these are possible risks involved. You have to sign, before they go in. And then sometimes also they also do another procedure they call orchidectomy, which is either the removal of the testicles entirely, because they believe that the testicles produce the high level of the hormones that make the prostate to grow. So if you cut off and shut down the factory, then there will be no hormone to grow the prostate. And that means that the testosterone level of that man will also go down. Yes. And when testosterone goes down, the man has been feminized. You know, so he loses his potency and is no longer able to be who he should be in the other room. So.
All right. So you also talked about, you said that there are 3 stages of prostate.
3 types of prostate disorders,
Prostate disorder. You talked about
inflammation.
cancer.
Okay, prostate cancer, yeah.
This prostate cancer, is it from the inflammation that it results to cancer?
Now, the process of cancer initiation, cancer progression, and what have you, is a very complex one. It's difficult to pin it down to one factor, to say, okay, it's because there was inflammation, that was why it became cancerous. Now, prostate inflammation does not necessarily lead to prostate cancer. Even prostate enlargement does not necessarily lead to prostate cancer. Prostate cancer itself is a process that is initiated by several factors. In cancer formation itself, there are at least 33 factors that can initiate the process of cancer in a person's body. At least 33 known factors. And then there are many yet to be known factors that could also play a role in the initiation of the cancer process. So, like I've been saying in some of our previous episodes, you see, the human body is like a soil. Disease is like a plant. If the soil is fertile and very conducive, the plant will germinate and grow and thrive. But if the soil is not favorable, the plant cannot do well. Even if it starts growing, it will soon wither because the soil is not supporting the life of the plant. In the same way, the human body can be, configured in such a way through diet and lifestyle and through what goes on in our minds, by the way, because there is this psychosomatic connection, mind-body connection, such that you make your body not conducive for disease process to take place. Of course, despite our best efforts, there are things that are under our control. There are things that are beyond our control. For example, one of the 33 factors that can cause cancer is radiation, ionizing radiation. That may not absolutely be under our control because in the atmosphere, there's radiation, you can't see it. Yeah, a telecommunication mast, a power line, even the microwave oven in your kitchen, those are all sources of radiation. Even our cell phones that we carry all over the place. You see some men will put their cell phone, by their side. I see some women put their cell phones right in their bra.
Yes.
That is radiation. That is recipe for breast cancer. That's one of the many things that can cause it. I'm not saying that's the only thing that causes breast cancer.
In case you are just joining us, it is Healthy Living, and we are talking on prostate health. And our guest on the program is Reverend Tony Akinyemi. He is a nutritionist. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, Tony Akinyemi is my name, and I've written about 20 books to date. More are in the offing. Out of the 20 published books, to my credit, 6 of them are on healthy living. And I want to recommend these resources to you, to access them either digitally online or to get your hard copies. For digital access, you can visit amazon.com or familabooks.com. And for physical copies, you can visit the Shepherd stores at 18 Shogunle Street, Abule Onigbagbo off Mobolaji Bankantoni Way between Eko Hospital and Sheraton Hotel Ikeja to obtain your copy. You can also contact the email address on the screen or the telephone number or send a WhatsApp message and you'll be guided as to where to get any of the copies. God bless you as you access these resources. They will inform you and the information will help to transform your health and that of your family as well as that of the people in your sphere of influence. God bless you and thank you.
Welcome back. Good to know that you're still there. So before the break, you were talking on the causes of prostate cancer.
Yeah.
So throw more light on it.
Yeah, so like I said, there are at least 33 factors that can cause all cancers, not just prostate cancer. But when it comes to prostate cancer, you want to look at the hormonal profile of that individual in particular to make sure that the testosterone in that man's body is not being converted to dihydrotestosterone or DHT. So there are certain foods that are called DHT blockers. When you eat them, they block the process of conversion of testosterone to DHT. And once you succeed in doing that, you have almost protected that man from developing prostate cancer. Except that man, of course, gets exposed to unnecessary radiation. And I expect each person to protect themselves from radiation. Okay, so that is as far as that is concerned. Then, of course, the other factors have to do with the terrain of the body, how acidic the body is, how alkaline the body is, how toxic the body is, how well oxygenated the body is, and so on and so forth. If a man can maintain all of that, and you also avoid things that serve as hormone disruptors, like I don't expect adult men to be taking cow milk, for example. When I say that, many people say, hey, what are you talking about? No cow milk. People just say no milk. I said, no, I didn't say no milk. I said no cow milk. Because cow milk is not the only type of milk. We have goat milk. We have sheep milk. We even have camel milk. You know, we have coconut milk. We have almond milk. We have tiger nut milk, hazelnut milk, sesame seed milk, rice milk. I mean, so people have asked me, they said, the Bible said God took his people to a land flowing with milk and honey. And here you are saying people should not take milk. I said, no, I never said don't take milk. I said don't take cow milk. Why? Because most dairy cows are loaded with hormones, particularly IGF-1. That's a type of hormone that they pump into the cows. Insulin growth-like factor 1, you know, and it makes the cow milk to become a hormone disruptor. It can contribute to upsetting the hormonal balance in either a man's body or a woman's body. So I tell most men, prevent hormone disruptors, and then you are programming yourself, protecting yourself against cancer. Now, there are also certain foods that help to prevent free radical damage, because free radical damage is another cause. A free radical can damage a cell and cause DNA damage. And we do experience DNA damage in our cells on a regular basis, but there is a mechanism in our body that God has put in place that keeps repairing damaged cells. As a cell is damaged, the mechanism will fix it and restore it back to normal. But if the rate at which the damage is occurring is higher than the rate of repair, then there will be some that will escape. Okay. They are damaged, they are not repaired, and then they replicate, and they can form a tumor. Okay, so if free radical causes a damage to the cell, to cells inside the prostate, and those cells are not repaired, and then they begin to replicate, they can develop into a solid tumor. Okay, and so you eat foods that are high in antioxidants. We call it antioxidants in this part of the world. Vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, and the mineral selenium, generally in fruits and vegetables. That's why we encourage people to eat a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, because you get a lot of antioxidants. And they will have neutralized the free radical before the free radical can cause damage, DNA damage to your cell that can set the stage for cancer development. There are some foods also that are very rich in substances that actually protect the prostate. Now, there is what I call the architectural correlation. If you look at the architecture of fruits and vegetables, that's the shape. Most fruits and vegetables have replicas in our body. Okay. Yeah. If you look into a human body, there's something inside you, for example, that looks like beans. What is that? That's your jam question. What looks like beans inside your body? Eh? Of course, your kidneys. Now, that's why some beans are even referred to as kidney beans. Okay? Now, so you look at the beans, it looks exactly, that's the shape of the kidney. So we call that architectural correlation. There is correlation between the shape, the size, the architecture, of the beans and the architecture of... So if you look at the prostate, there are certain fruits and vegetables that look exactly like the prostate. The walnuts, for example, tomato, for example. So you look at fruits and vegetables that have that architectural correlation with your prostate, and you eat more of them.
Wow.
They protect your prostate. Okay? The tomato is also red, just like the prostate. So that red pigment in tomato is because of a substance called lycopene. That's the same thing that makes your watermelon very red. The same thing that makes your pomegranate very red. So most fruits that are red, they are rich in lycopene. And lycopene will protect a man's prostate from getting enlarged or from progressing into cancer. So you look for various ways to block all those channels that can lead to cancerous development in the prostate. And when cancer begins to develop in the prostate, usually it is encapsulated. It's usually in a capsule. It's like you have a capsule, and the cancer cells are contained inside that capsule. Okay? So if that capsule is not broken and a man takes care of himself very well, begins to change all these parameters, you find out that the body has a way of mopping it up, clearing it out. But if that capsule is broken, within 6 weeks, if nothing is done to radically mop up the entire prostate, then the capsule that is broken, the cancerous cells in them will begin to invade neighboring tissues. And that's how prostate cancer normally spreads. And it becomes metastatic. And then it begins to regrow in secondary locations. And that leads that person into stage 4. Because cancer goes through about 5 stages. Stage 0, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. By the time it has metastasized, it has spread from the primary location and it's gone into other locations, maybe into the lungs, to the liver, into the bones, into the brain. Then it has become metastatic. That is end stage. Then a situation called cachexia will set in. That is when the person begins to waste away. The person can eat and eat and eat and is still losing weight and shrinking until it becomes like skeleton. Okay? So when it is in that capsule, that's why personally, I normally don't favor biopsies for people who have prostate cancer, because doctors would normally want to do a biopsy. A biopsy is when they go into the prostate and take a little bit of that suspicious portion to go and look at it under the microscope. It's called histology, to find out whether that cell is cancerous or not. That process of doing biopsy will break the capsule. And once the capsule is broken, the tendency to spread is higher. I prefer to do radiological investigations like MRI or CT scan or things like that to see whether there is anything suspicious, and then you commence whatever therapy you want to commence rather than making the person go through a biopsy first and then you don't attend to the person for long, because the window is approximately 6 weeks after a biopsy. If you don't do something, you have set that person up for a spread. Okay, which is why many people die from prostate cancer. Incidentally, prostate cancer is supposed to be one of the slowest growing cancers. It's not as aggressive as most other forms of cancers. Pancreatic cancer, for example, is one of the deadliest, of cancers. And then lung cancer, liver cancer. But prostate cancer, yes, there are different types and there are different ways to measure the scale. There's what we call the Gleason score that will tell you how aggressive this prostate cancer is or not. But generally speaking, prostate cancers are not very aggressive. And once it is diagnosed and the right things are done, the chances of beating it hands down is very high.
Okay.
Right.
Now, before we go, what are those major steps for one to take to get a permanent cure?
Well, when you say permanent cure, again, there are terms and definitions in medical circles, okay? What the medical community will consider a cure is when a person is still alive and in remission 5 years after diagnosis. If the person has not died, within 5 years, usually that is considered the 5-year survival rate. And it is entered into most cancer registries that the person has been cured because he's still alive 5 years after. Unfortunately, sometimes Even though the person has not died, the cancer is still there, but it's recorded as a cure. So I want to know what you mean by permanent cure. Are you referring to the 5-year survival rate? Or you are talking about the cancer is no longer there, the person is in complete remission?
Yes.
And now, that will be determined by the process that the person follows. Now, if somebody goes through the conventional allopathic modality, the person can go and do surgery to take it out. Of course, there are different types of surgeries also. There are minimally invasive surgeries, and there are open surgeries. Okay, the person can do a surgery to take out the entire prostate. So the cancer inside the prostate and all the prostate is removed. So it's no longer there. That person technically can be declared as cured, so to speak, because there's no more tumor. It has been taken out. But in the process of the surgery, it is possible that a few cells, cancerous cells, can still escape into the bloodstream. And they'll still be floating around and floating around, looking for where to perch. Yeah. You can go and settle in the lungs.
Wow.
You can go and settle in the liver, or even in the brain, somewhere. And then a few years later, it starts growing there again. And then the person has what we call a recurrence. And then the person begins to battle that one again as a secondary form of cancer arising from the primary one that happened. So some other people do radiation, some other people do chemotherapy, or a combination of all of that. Then there is also the integrative approach of treating people, which is my own favorite, where you combine the best of two worlds. Where a person, it depends on the stage that the cancer has reached. A person may do surgery and that will be fine. A person can do some form of ablation, that will be fine. A person can do radiation, but that's not my favorite. But when you do integrative oncology, you are working with your doctor, your oncologist, you're also working with your nutritionist, or you're working with your naturopathic doctor, and other forms of therapies, everything brought together to get the best outcome. Usually such people survive for longer, 5 years plus, 10 years, 15 years, because they are enjoying the best of many worlds.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time on this program.
My pleasure.
All right, we've come to the end of this wonderful program. Yes, we've been talking on prostate health. Thank you so much for your time. And my guest has been Reverend Tony Akinyemi. We've been talking on prostate health. I am Blessing of Fonio. I'm waiting for your call and your questions. Don't forget to put your name and your location. We'll do it again.